Welcome back, everyone. Dyno Joe here. Today we're going to build the Echo 7310. Do a quick teardown, do some machine work, port it, Muffler Mod, and then we'll see what kind of power it puts out. Alright, stick around. Unhook your impulse, unhook your fuel hose, undo the throttle cable, pull out the grommet, pull out the spring, take this muffler off. Pull this recoil off. Alright, now we're ready to remove the cylinder. Nice large rubber boot. Get that off of there. Alright, here's the 7310 cylinder. Nice size intake. Pair on the bottom, 3 outlets up top. Decent exhaust. We'll get this base gasket out of the way. See what kind of squish it has and where we want to go from there. The style they use actually captures the pin. So even if that pin did loosen up, it can't come out like some of the other models. So I just thought that was neat with these Echoes. The way the ring's ground captures the locating pin. There's no limiters on this one, but you need to be very careful with these carb screws. They're made to break off easy. That way you can't tamper with them. These have a different style of limiter. It's like a gray plastic tube. Echo does make a tool to remove them, but if you're careful, you can pull them out with a real thin pair of needle nose if they're lined up just right and pulled out. So this one's already removed, luckily. Alright, got a piece of solder in there. It's tripled up. These Echoes run a lot of squish from the factory, most of them. So even with the base gasket removed, still probably going to be 40 thousandths plus squish. So that is the nice thing about using smaller solder, like the 32 thousandths that I use. You can double it, triple it, quadruple it, just twist it together, and it's still fairly easy to squish. You don't want to put a piece of 60 thousandths solder in there and try and squish it. It's going to be a pain. So 43 thousandths squish with no gasket. 43 thousandths. So we'll take 18 thousandths off the base and that'll set the squish. I'm not going to do any band work on this one. I'm going to try something a little bit different on this one. Kind of real similar to like a 4910. The squish is so large that by the time you set the squish, you get a nice bump in compression. So we're just going to cut the base on this one. Alright, we'll take our 18 off. Now these cylinders with extensions, you need to make sure that you're undercut just a little bit on the extension. So use the square corner of a straight edge. Otherwise, if the case is tight, your jug won't seal down right. And same thing, you need to make sure you take off the base gasket worth and what you cut off the bottom of the base off of the extension as well, because some of them will bottom out. There we go, there's the finished base. Get it cleaned up, check squish. All right, just a single piece of solder this time. Right there, 25. Double check the other side. The same 25. All right, so we'll leave the squish right there. We'll get the degree wheel set up. All right, so the intake's 80. Exhaust is 106. The large single transfer is 124. And the pair of smaller transfers is 130. So I'll leave the intake at 80. I'm going to go 101 on the exhaust. I'm going to take that larger main transfer up to 120. And I'll bring the pair of smaller ones up to 124. I'll open up the lowers, reach in there, shape everything. These uppers are going to be pointed up a little bit. Try and blend in that plate. I don't plan on taking these covers off, and I don't plan on breaking through, but I do have a spare cylinder for these if I happen to need it. Just try and port this real similar to the 4910s and 501s. Fingers crossed that it works out. If not, I still can do more machine work. Lower the cylinder some more. And try a little bit different number. Alright, there's the exhaust. I unshrouded the lowers a little bit. Raise the uppers. Widen the intake. It's kind of a pain getting those uppers nice and smooth on that up angle, but they're not too bad. Everything's all beveled up. See what kind of power it puts out. Alright, we'll get this stuck down. These mufflers are an empty can. What I'll do is I'll trim one of my deflectors to go right here, blowing out the front. You could put one up here, but there's already one there, so I'll go on the side and blow it out the front. Alright, there's the finished muffler mod. Just threw a coat of paint on it. Put the screen back in there. We'll get this put on. See what kind of power it puts out. There's the muffler mod. Still has the screen in the top. No screen in the new one. If these are your kind of videos, hit that like button. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. Thanks a lot, everyone. Alright, here's the results. Numbers in the box taken 9,300. Both saws make peak power about the same. These are a few runs averaged together for the stock and for the ported. Ported's blue, stock's red. See, the ported saw's up about 36% at peak versus the stock. Carries on a little bit better and then drops off. See, it doesn't give up any torque to the stock saw, even without all the extra compression. If we cut the squish band and gave it a little bit extra compression, the torque would come up. Probably make a little bit more, closer to 5 foot-pounds of torque. But without changing the port durations much more, the peak power is still going to be around here. But these are the results. 36% overstock, no losses anywhere. Nice solid work saw.